Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Formula One podcast straight to the apex. There's no races, but that doesn't stop the Formula One machine keeping on churning. That's right, the boys are back, and they're talking Formula One, surprisingly. A note from the boys, they did want to let everybody know that this podcast was recorded before Daniel Ricciardo made any announcements. So anything that's mentioned, just so you know, it was before any announcements were made. Before we get started, please do remember to like, share, subscribe and comment. Drop any reviews you want to drop and let's just share this podcast around. If you've got a friend who likes Formula One, send them this podcast. They will love it. Right, let's get going. So here we go. This is CookieCast, straight to the apex.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 15 of the Straight to the Apex podcast. With me, I'm leading this week, Mark Wilkin. To my left, James Stainforth.
Hello.
Below me, putting some hand gel on for some strange reason on a podcast, Tony Rawson.
Who said it was
what you're doing?
And we've got a special guest this week. We have
Who said it was
a special
hand gel?
guest, a superstar. It's a picture of Sebastian Vettel.
I actually got excited then. I thought you was going to bring somebody on that neither of us knew about.
No, sorry, it's literally just a picture of Sebastian Vettel.
Just a picture
I
of
thought
Sebastian Vettel.
he's not dead. This isn't eulogy or anything like that.
It's not a eulogy. He's not
He's
dead.
not dead.
But in the world of Formula One, his days are numbered. His life is ending. He's dying. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Sebastian
Wow.
Vettel is retiring. So we thought we'd have a little special talk. He's not dying. He's literally just retiring.
He's not
It went a
dying.
bit dark.
He's not dying.
I'm just seeing Monty Python now with the Holy Grail with that old man going, I'm not dead. I think I'll go out for a walk.
It got dark pretty quickly there. He's saving the planet. He's not dying, not that we know of. So we thought we'd have a bit of a talk about him, bit of a talk about his career, his highs, his lows, and then we might have a bit of a review, seeing as it's been the summer break and we've literally had no races for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Talk to the wife
Sebastian,
on a Sunday.
I know. What have we been doing with our weekends?
You start, Mark. What have you been doing?
I've had to talk to Katie first and foremost. No, I have.
Is that your wife? Bloody hell.
It is, yes. No, I mean, for me, it's my weekends are busy enough with other sports I follow. So, but I have missed it because there's not much been going on, really. And I've watched reruns of Belgium on Sky. Watched numerous years of Belgium reruns, as that's the next race, as they always do. What about you guys? What have you been filling your weekends with?
Is
Wanna
it
go,
really
James?
bad? I can't remember.
No,
It's like, yeah.
we're at that age now. That's why I just winged it, because I ain't got a clue what I've been doing, to be brutally honest. I forgot. So
Yeah. Pretty much the same, other sports that I follow and stuff like that, that's kind of kept me going. Been a couple of times I've put the Formula One channel on just to see if there's any news, and normally there's highlights of old races and stuff like that. But yeah,
Tony,
really weird. Normally I don't really mind the mid-season break, but this year it's like, oh God, come on.
I know it seems to have been quite long, doesn't it? That 3 weeks
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
to have been really long.
I had COVID. And it
Oh, yeah.
It was yeah. I'm all right, guys. Let's just say that.
Yeah, he's not dying either.
Thank you for your
No.
concern. but I'm
But
all right.
Does James know about this COVID story?
No, he doesn't know. Basically,
He
Go
told
on.
me he had COVID the day I'd just played him at tennis, and the worst thing is, James, he beat me with COVID.
I felt a little bit dodgy. And
I want him tested, drug tested, because that COVID made him beat me at tennis.
I spanked
You the
him.
beat chums.
He did spank me, and it wasn't pretty on my side. It was. I think I only won 2 games, maybe 3.
Wow.
But apparently COVID makes you better at tennis. Who knew? Side effect. Who knew?
Who knew? Who knew? Who knew? What else have I been doing though? We need a rematch because now it's 1-1. But Mark's been a pussy boy and he won't book it. So,
I'm retired.
This weekend he was busy. So
I just didn't want to see you, to be brutally
I
honest.
wonder what the next sport will be. Probably badminton, squash.
No, I'm not going out on a loss. I am going to beat you next time. So
okay, we'll wait for that. We'll wait for that because we're all busy this weekend, aren't we?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So that'll be interesting.
We're busy on the first weekend after the summer break when there's a bloody race on. I mean, great planning, Tone. Well done.
We'll fit it in.
We'll have to, because otherwise we ain't going to talk about much on that Tuesday, are we? Watch the race, lads. No. Did you? No.
Well, I know. It is my stag do. I'll probably still be recovering Tuesday, probably. It's going to be a very heavy weekend. And it's been a long week already, so it's only Tuesday. So, but yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to the topic in hand. Sebastian Vettel, born 3rd of July 1987 in Eppenheim, Germany.
Where?
Eppenheim. I mean,
I never knew that.
I could have done a bit of a quiz and asked Tony to name me possibly the 5 teams he's raced. Let's do a fly off the wall.
Yeah.
Quiz question. Tony, how many teams can you name out of the 5 Sebastian Vettel has raced for in Formula 1? Go. I mean, it's not a great start.
I know. I mean, you could just start with what he's driving with now.
Wait there. I'll get it. So
check he ain't got a phone underneath him.
Oh, yeah, get the man to phone.
My phone's
That's not in the room, is she?
Yeah.
My phone's over here.
5 teams.
Okay. Ready?
One is green.
Ready?
One has a ball.
I'll look in the camera, so I'm not looking anywhere else.
Go on.
BMW Sauber, Toro Rosso, Red Bull Ferrari, and Aston Martin.
Bing, 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 bing.
Nice.
Point. Well done, Tony.
And in order as well.
And in order.
Chronological.
You've either researched that or you've actually read the book we bought you for your birthday.
Maybe.
Yes. He started at BMW Sauber. He was a test driver in 2006. He had 1 race in 2007, which was the US Grand Prix, replacing Robert Kubica after his accident. He then went to Toro Rosso. Sorry, Kubica, whatever his name is. Let's not.
I just look like a strong correcting your pronunciation here.
I know. Let's not go down that avenue, Tony. Let's not. He was then at Toro Rosso, the junior Red Bull team, 2007 and 2008. He then went to Red Bull. I think we all remember his Red Bull days. 2009 to 2014. Won all 4 of his titles there. Went to Ferrari. His hero, Michael Schumacher, emulated him. Didn't quite pan out. But he was there. He was there for 5 years, which I was quite shocked at.
Yeah, I didn't realise it was that long.
Yeah. I
Long
felt
time.
like he'd been at Red Bull longer than Ferrari, but
Yeah.
strange. And then the last 2 seasons, he's been with the Green Machine, that is Aston Martin, and he's beat up Paul Lance Stroll. Lance has had enough, cried to Daddy, and so he's had to retire. Poor.
No, that's interesting.
Supposedly.
Do you think that might be some of the?
Supposedly. Anyway, I've got a few facts if you don't mind sharing.
Go for it, yeah.
He started karting when he was 3. 3 years of age.
Yep.
And he started racing when he was 8 in karting.
Yeah.
And what was you doing when you was 8?
Not karting.
Running around thinking I was He-Man.
Yeah.
I was maybe a
That's-
turtle or a Ghostbuster.
I think I was Action Man.
Ooh.
Definitely not fucking
I'm surprised
racing
you
car.
didn't think you was Barbie or Ken, to be honest.
Anyway. And then in Toro, where have we gone? It all kind of kicked off when he started winning things pretty consistently.
I
in
guess
Red
that's
Bull.
pretty much how it normally kind of works. Yeah.
No, I think it's
Do you know
It's
what?
start-
His career really started when he finished last.
Yeah. How did he get his first world championship? Well, it all kind of started when he won.
Put a couple of races
Sorry,
together.
Tony.
Do you know what? Did well in a couple of them. And sorry, Tony, go on.
he's got some. Well, Red Bull is where he kind of made a name for himself, hasn't he? Really, absolutely, he smashed it in the 4 years, 5 years that he was there. I've got loads of little facts that he got. What was it? 3rd time, 9 title winner, not had top. Yeah, so when he won his first one, I found this fact very interesting. He didn't lead the championship in 2010 until after the last race, and that's when he won the championship. And that's only been done twice before, in 1964 and 1976. I thought that was fascinating. That. And then in 2011, he won 14 successive front row. He was 14 successive front row starts, and he got 15 poles that year. 11 top 2 finishes. And then in 2012, so the 2011-2012 season, he got 10 poles in each season consecutively. And the only guy to do that was our boy, Ayrton Senna. 3 titles.
Doing your own work.
Three consecutive. Wikipedia. Shout out Wikipedia. 3 titles. 3 titles. Sorry, no, I'm a massive fan of F1 and Bell. 3 consecutive world titles.
4, actually.
4. Well, yeah, I did. Yeah, sorry, Wikipedia.
He was doing so well there.
Wikipedia.
Nearly, Tone. You nearly got it right then. Nearly.
9. He has 9 wins in a row in the 2013 season.
He set the record for the most consecutive race wins, correct? 9. And he also set the record for the most wins in a single season, which was 13. And he was also the youngest world champion.
Yeah.
I mean, going
But
back to
how
them,
old?
how old was he? I can't remember.
It was. I can remember the days. It's the. 1 second. 21 years and 72 days was when he got his podium.
Nice.
He was the youngest pole sitter in 2008 at Monza. So yeah, I suppose technically then it would be 21 years and 73 days.
So his current stats.
YouTube, not Wikipedia.
YouTube. And was that 3 or 4 titles he got on YouTube?
Oh, there was 4 on that one.
Oh, there was 4. There was 4.
That you must have been listening to the 2014 video, not the 2013.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we got this one from the past.
Damn it.
So
Damn it.
before this weekend's race, his current Formula One stats stand as follows: 122 podiums, 53 wins, 3,077 points, and he's raced in 291 GPs, which unfortunately, at the end of this season, means the last race will be his 299th.
Oh,
Which is gutting because obviously I think there was one where he hasn't started. I don't know if it was this season, or last season. So it'd have been around 300. And unfortunately, because of that, he'll finish on 299, which we all know Vettel is a statistician, loves his stats. That's going to kill him inside, isn't it? That really is going to kill him.
I was going to say, it plays with my OCD. It's like, no, I need to round that up now.
I know.
I've got the volume on like a multiple of 5.
Yeah, he'll have to race one next year. He's got to. 300 out, done. But, so going back to Red Bull, obviously, he was at Red Bull at a time that they absolutely dominated. He was a good driver, but it was a case of a bit like Hamilton at Mercedes, right time, right car, right driver. Yeah. And that's when really people began to hate him, didn't they? We had the fingered salute, we had incidents with Matt Webber. What do you guys remember, James first? What do you remember from the Red Bull days?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the one finger salute every. I don't know. Maybe got a little bit arrogant towards the end of his time there. But in all fairness, can you blame the guy? I mean, you're winning it on the bounce and fairly as well, and you're not only winning, but you're smashing it.
Yeah.
I mean, 9 consecutive wins, 13 wins in a year, and all this kind of stuff. He's absolutely dominated it, so you can kind of get why he's got that level of arrogance and stuff. But yeah, it was just towards the end, mainly with Webber.
Yeah.
And I always forget the bloody number, the team order they had.
Multi-21, Seb.
Multi-21. Yeah. I always remember that one. Just watching them in the cool room afterwards. And there's like Seb there with a towel on his head, and he's looking at Webber, who's just down. And I can still see it as well. The guy's taking his shoes off.
Yeah.
Taking his shoes off. He's just looking up, going multi-21. I said multi-21, and Seb just goes, yeah, multi-21. Probably the worst Austrian accent I could ever do, but well, let's face it, it's a podcast about F1, not acting. So.
I can still picture the crash at Turkey, like omitting each other, spinning off. Vettel walking away, giving it that it's Webber's fault. Webber walking away, and like you said, and
there was a lot of that, though. I mean, I was watching a couple of YouTube videos and stuff like that just to, just check up on my facts and everything else. And just that there was one where he was racing against Alonso. I think it was at Silverstone, and just how close them two were, and yeah, I mean, there was probably a couple of mil between the tyre and the side pods at times between them, and it's just ridiculous. Sitting there watching, I know the outcome and everything else, but you still, when you're that tense, your butt cheeks clench.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. It was like, oh shit! But
I mean, I remember an incident with Webber at the British Grand Prix where I think Vettel damaged his front wing, and basically, Horner being Horner was like, "Oh, Mark, we're going to take your new front wing for Seb." And I remember it just all kicking off from there. But the guy was the number 1 driver. He was winning everything. The race in Abu Dhabi, or was it Brazil, where he was facing the wrong way and he come back to win his championship.
Brazil.
He just against Alonso, wasn't it? And he had a bit of a reputation of he couldn't overtake, he couldn't race. Like, he got this reputation that Vettel could only win when he was 2 seconds in front, managing the field. And I think we had races like that where he proved that actually, like you've just said, he was aggressive as hell.
He did it a couple of times, though. What was it? I'm just going through my notes now. So obviously there was Brazil in 2012. Now it was the last race. It was again, obviously there was only 13 points between Vettel and Alonso. Both of them didn't do great in qualifying, so they was both starting pretty much mid-track, if I remember. But Vettel had a piss poor start. Then, because he went off the track. Then, like you said, he spun around. He lost half of his nose and was facing backwards. I think it pretty much put him right to the back of the pack. I think it was like 22nd. And he fought his way, got all the way to 6th place, which was all he needed. He only needed to finish 6th. Alonso finished 2nd. It was a safety car because Paul Di Resta had crashed, didn't he?
Yeah.
So it just kind of like dragged them all in. Alonso finished 2nd, but Seb finished 6th and just gave him enough points. And he won the title there by 3 points to go from 22nd to 6th. And the other one was when was it? Oh, that was it, Abu Dhabi. I think you just mentioned it as well, Mark. Didn't you?
Yeah.
There was a fuel irregularity, so he got put to the back of the grid. So then there was like, well, you know what? If we're at the back, let's do some more shit to the car anyway. So he ended up starting from the pit. And yeah, he finished that race in 3rd. So he went from right at the back of the grid, starting from the pit, and finished 3rd, getting a podium. I mean, yeah, you can't really say, oh, he's got this reputation of not being. Granted, he did at times, and yeah, a lot of the time it did kind of look like you only really win if you're on the front row. But you could say that about a lot of drivers. But
yeah,
if he wants it, he'll fucking get it.
Yeah. What do you think, Tone? What do you remember?
I don't know, really. I don't know if I was. I think I was too busy pimping back in them days. Or swimming. Yeah. Swimming took a lot of my time back then.
Swimming and pimping.
Yeah.
Sounds like a really bad kind of a rap, doesn't it?
Oh, it was. It was tough. Them days are well behind me now. It was.
Snoop Dogg driving around in the Lolos trying to get the girls and that. You're out in the pool.
Girls plural, don't they? No.
It's not a good time. But he was just dominant, just winning all the time. I think I got a bit bored because he would win everything. It would always be around him.
Yeah, I mean
Red Bull.
Adrian Newey designed that car, and he just got in it, and like you say, it absolutely dominated for 4 or 5 years. I mean, he went from a young kid at Toro Rosso that, like, it was this German that liked British culture, he liked British comedy, he loved the Beatles, he loved Monty Python. He always grew up seeing his childhood heroes were the 3 Michaels: Michael Schumacher, Michael Jordan, and Michael Jackson. I mean, the last one's a bit ropey, for a young boy to like him, but anyway. But yeah,
moving on
quickly before we get sued. He always talked about British humour, and like I remember him being on. I think he was on Top Gear, and he was just so funny. And then he went to Red Bull, and like you say, this arrogance I think come over him, and it was the one finger, and it was everything with Webber, and it was all set up for him to go to Ferrari and dominate, and he didn't. Like. What happened? Like, why did it go so sour for him at Ferrari?
Well,
Ferrari.
I know exactly.
Strategy fucked him over.
Yeah.
I think it was. It just sounds like it was a Ferrari. Car's not very reliable. Strategy, the team. And I think it was going towards the end of his time at Ferrari, or in the mid. I think actually this time was Ferrari dominance was just going down into the toilet, and I think they were getting some like season worst results ever, like 2018, 19, like the Constructors' Championship. They were like down near 5th or 6th or something like that, like. And then, and also, you've got to think that it was the emergence of Lewis Hamilton. and the Mercedes.
Well, they had some good battles. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, before Hamilton started really winning, and obviously McLaren and Mercedes, I remember a lot of the times on the podium, Vettel getting booed, like
Yeah.
louder than Hamilton probably ever had. Like Hamilton's had quite a few where he's had been booed. But everyone, I remember it booing him, and he actually admitted it affected him, which it would. And going to Ferrari, you're right. Ferrari fucked up a lot of it. I mean, he had quite a few years where he was challenging and battling with Hamilton. Like Canada, for me, I remember him and Hamilton battling, and then the interviewed afterwards, and Seb was real relaxed and saying about a seagull blocked his path, and they were laughing and joking and saying like, "That's you didn't break for that seagull, cruelty to animals and all that." And the pressure I think because Ferrari struggled, the pressure was then off him. Because in the first couple of years of Ferrari, you could tell he was under a lot of strain. A lot of strain.
I mean, I always remember that race in Azerbaijan between him and Hamilton when he brake tested him.
Yeah. I
mean, that's another one of the Vettel moments that everyone seems to remember, and it's pretty bad, really. I mean, we've talked about all the really fucking awesome stuff that he's done and everything else like that, but most of the stuff that everyone seems to remember is multi 21 with Mark Webber and brake testing Hamilton at Azerbaijan. They're the 2 points that everyone seems to bring up. But yeah, I think he had a lot of luck in time when it came to Red Bull. He got to. I mean, Red Bull had already the season before he got there. They didn't do anything to the car. They saved all the money, and then they ploughed it in when the new pointing scheme and the regulations came in. And he dominated. And then when he moved over to Ferrari, that's when they changed the rules again. And obviously that's when the hybrid car came in, which is when Mercedes suddenly started dominating. And yeah, like you just said, Matt, I think Ferrari. I think personally, Ferrari probably knew that they didn't have the best car out there, and they probably thought, well, we've got a 4-time consecutive champion behind the wheel here, we'll be all right. And yeah, that put the pressure on him. He got better towards the end with Ferrari when he was getting. He wasn't interested in it anymore. He went from that kind of arrogant, annoying Sebastian Vettel that we all kind of knew to, he's all right now, to, I really like him, to, oh, look, the guy's wearing his boxer shorts outside of his fireproofs again. Oh, what a guy.
Yeah, I think he lost his, we've said this on other episodes, I think he lost that fun bit of his personality at Ferrari, because Ferrari is so serious and he's a pressure cooker. It's like the Ferrari is as big as the Italian national football team and rugby team. The pressure that's on him, and he couldn't be that fun Vettel. And like you say, he got arrogant at Red Bull. That was a team built around him. Ferrari, he had to be that serious driver. And I think it got to him, like with the brake testing of Hamilton, and there were some other incidents that he had where he just had a bit of a meltdown, didn't he? And it was almost like something switched and he just lashed out. And you think, this isn't Seb. This isn't the Seb that we've known. But then, like you say, Ferrari got done for cheating. They lost their engine power, I think. And then obviously there wasn't fighting for championships. Like Tony said, they were fighting for 15th, 16th. And I think he went then back to, well, there's no pressure on me. And like I say, we had these fun bits again, didn't we? But yeah, I think overall, you've got to say that, he's had ups and downs, but he's one of the... He's
a lot like Nicky Lauda, where he knows the bloody rules, and he so much so that he probably knows them better than half the bloody directors and stuff like that. I mean, one of the other things I noted was China in 2016. He knew the rules that the pit lane is still effectively counted as a racetrack until the official pit entry later on. And he was behind Hulkenberg and Sainz, and they was both driving slow. So he overtook them both. Then hit the official pit entry and slowed down just in time. Gained 2 positions in the pit lane. And he's going to be driving going, you can't do anything.
Yeah. He like you say, he knew the rule book.
Well, he knows his stuff. He's talking like he's dead. He's not dead. He's not dead, guys.
No, he's not dead. What I did find funny
Or dying.
is he also set a record for collecting his first fine in 9 seconds into his Formula One career for speeding in the pit lane, which that record, that record still stands. He exceeded the pit lane on the way to the track in the second test session. Within 9 seconds on his Formula One debut, he got a speeding fine. I mean, for a German, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Because normally they're a stickler for the rules. Like, 9, I go fast here. That was it. Like I say, there was times where I couldn't stand him. But I just think that when you look over his career, actually, he's a class act. Would we say he's in the top 10 drivers of probably, not all time, but is he in the top 20 of all time?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it kind of goes back on what we've kind of said about top drivers in the past and stuff like that. It's not just for his racing and everything else that he's done on the track, but just his personality. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, like we said, he was extremely arrogant, one finger salute and all that, but yeah, you started seeing some of the old Seb come back towards the end of Ferrari and during his Aston Martin period and stuff like that. He's not like Max or other drivers like that where they're just like, he's got some charisma there, and his heart's really in it. Again, it's probably another way of comparing him a little bit to Niki Lauda.
He's a Formula One fan that's driving. He's not. He's a fan, and he's also his job. I mean, there's a lot of the drivers that probably just do it as a job. They don't actually really like it. He's into the history. Like, he's got Nigel Mansell's old car. He's into all that. Like, say, it's like one of us driving. He's living his dream, yet he's been able to have this life off the track. Nobody knows his wife. Nobody knows his kids. Nobody knows where he is. He's not into the lifestyle, and that's one of Hamilton's downfalls is he's always in front of a bloody camera doing something. Vettel comes to the track, races, then you don't see him again. He's not in the papers, he's not cheating, he's not, do you know what I mean? He's an all-round good egg, isn't he? Really?
Yeah. I think so. A modern day, great. Definitely. Oh, I think modern day, last 10 or 15 years, I think he's probably in the top 10 easy. All time, like you say, he gets into the top 20, doesn't he? Definitely. Yeah. I mean, when I was reading and researching a bit, like, he was known as, was it the little Shumi?
Yeah, baby Shuey. Baby Schumacher, yeah.
And his name. And he's been he's put alongside some of his facts and figures and records are all next to some really, really high companies, some of the best that's ever raced. Senna, Schumacher. So I think, he's definitely up there. Definitely one that I'll remember in my time watching F1. And I think as well, what we've touched on already, he kind of was like hero. It was hero and then villain, which not many drivers get to experience like that, both sides.
No.
So I thought it very, very good.
Right. On that note, we'll take a quick break and we'll see you on the other side.
All right.
This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome back, everyone, to episode 15. Again, this is not remembrance episode for Sebastian Vettel. I will quote, he's not dead. However, we are celebrating or dying.
He's very much alive and well.
We're celebrating his career.
We're celebrating his career. And something we haven't talked about is the naming of his cars.
Oh, Have
Was
you
that
got a
part-
list of?
Was
have you
that
got
part
a
of the
list-
quiz?
Have you got a list of the name of the cars?
No.
This is part of the quiz, isn't it?
Is it part of the
James.
quiz?
James, his answer was dodgy there, wasn't it?
I can't.
He's got.
I can't cheat. I've literally got a list in front of me. Was that the quiz?
I was going to say name. He names his cars. Can you give me 5, and we'll go from one to the other? Because I've got the list right in front of me here. But
Is it from
since you-
Wikipedia, Tony? Is it from Wikipedia?
Is yours from Wikipedia?
It is indeed. Yes.
Absolutely, there it is, guys. Look, straight from Wikipedia. There, look, you can see. Just there it is. There it is.
There it is, printed off.
Nice.
I really shouldn't have said anything, should I? But
I completely forgot he names his cars.
this is the
Oh,
honest.
I know we've done the same thing.
This is the honest person I am, James. I have saved you from what would have looked like an embarrassment on this
I'm gonna
podcast.
say it.
What a good egg I am. Because
What was your first answer, though? What was your first answer?
well, I just read from the top. So his Toro Rosso was called Julie. Then his Red Bull was Kate, and then Kate's dirty sister. His 2010 Red Bull was Luscious Liz and Randy Mandy. Then we had Kinky Kylie, Abby, Hungry Heidi, Susie, Eva in 2015, Margarita, Gina, Loria, Lena, Lucia, and 2021 Aston Martin was Honey Rider.
Do you think that's a
It's
bit
like a
strange?
really bad version of Mambo number 5, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, he hasn't named the 2022 one, probably
He
because
didn't
he
want
wanted
to,
to
did he?
call it an absolute piece of shit. But yeah, Honey Rider is a bad version of Mambo number 5. But another thing I thought of was obviously in his Ferrari days challenging, when he crashed in Germany and cried, and he just went, "Sorry, guys."
Oh, yeah.
He
I did
just-
like that.
It was the slowest crash ever, wasn't it? He just slid slowly into the barrier.
I wasn't a big fan of Vettel at that point. 'Cause that was just kind of peak arrogance, wasn't it? So yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I remember that. I'm sorry.
I mean, if you want to do a little quiz turn, I mean, we could talk about Vettel's helmets. And I don't mean that in a rude sense, that he hasn't got multiple helmets. Obviously, he's a big advocate for having a different designed helmet for every race, basically. Got him in trouble quite a lot of the times, which the FIA don't like. You're changing your helmet design every race, but I think Vettel's got his own designer, hasn't he? And he's come up with some weird and wonderful helmet designs.
Never saw it, but I didn't read into it. Because that could get that gets a bit complex. It's a helmet.
I've got no
You could
questions about that, really.
You could put anything on a helmet.
You could.
Within-
And he did.
within
He had
reason.
the Little Mermaid on the helmet, because he had Sebastian the Crab on it. Off one of his helmets. I mean, I don't know why. What else did he have? He had the German flag, obviously, which is what he's got now. Kind of, it's like all white, isn't it? Yeah, he's had some quite mad helmets. Obviously, James mentioned that he wore his pants outside the overalls. He wore a t-shirt in Miami saying that Miami would be underwater. Yeah, he's done quite a lot in his career, really, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he will be missed.
He will
He
be
will
missed.
be missed.
So was that your quiz, Tony? Was that
Yeah,
that
I was
the
gonna
actual quiz?
I was going to ask you to guess names, but you
I've
don't.
ruined it.
Of course,
I've
you've done
ruined it.
You've just
Don't count as a win, Mark.
It doesn't, James. You're right. It does not count as a win. I am as honest as they come.
I'm glad you pointed that out, James. Thank you.
Well, it wasn't even much of a point. It was just, just an agreement between me and Mark. I mean, neither of us would ever cheat to win
No.
a quiz, would we?
Oh
James,
man,
James, that honesty that I showed there, I know you would show that honesty to me. I know you would. Other
Here you
people
are.
in this room, I don't fucking
Zoom.
trust with a barge pole because we all know on his brother's quiz the other week, ladies and gentlemen, someone cheated. Oh, he zoomed
Ladies
in
and
on him then as
gentlemen,
well. He
I
actually
didn't-
zoomed in on him.
Didn't cheat. It didn't cheat, and you'll have to go back and listen to that to decide for your own.
He did.
I didn't. Anyway, let's move on. Shall we move on to some news
Well, have we got anything else about Seb? Like,
swiftly?
you know,
There's not. I don't think there's anything else we can say about that guy.
There's Aston Martin. What do we think has happened to him at Aston Martin? Do we agree with how he's been pushed out? Do we think he's decided he wants to go?
I think he's decided to go
Yeah.
because I think this is the season where he's kind of gone. I think it's time before people start questioning his ability, the car, and it all gets a bit messy. I think he knows that. Yeah, I think it's time, and I think
think
it's
you're right.
he's been very clever at the way he's done it, because I think it opens the door now for a lot of organisations to come forward and offer him new ventures while he's still racing, and he's got time to suss them out. He's got time to decide where he wants to go, what he wants to do, how he spends his time, how he earns his money. And I think, I think he'll go into something to do with the environment, something to do with renewables. I don't really see him half naked in a picket line in London. I see him more sat with a suit and tie on round the table somewhere. What do you think? What do you think he's going to do?
I think don't get me wrong. I think what Mark said at the beginning of this was quite interesting. You know, Lance went running to Daddy, and all of a sudden Seb's retiring. There was that kind of. It's an interesting point, but no, I think you're right, Tony. I think he was sitting there thinking it's the right time. If I go now, I'm more likely going to be remembered for all the stuff that I did, rather than if I go in a couple of years, I'll be remembered as, oh, remember Seb? Yeah, he was really shit towards the end and stuff like that. But we touched on it earlier, didn't we? When Mark was saying, you know, no one knows anything about his wife, no one knows anything about his kids. He's a family man at the end of the day, and his kids are getting to that age now where he doesn't want to be dragging them all the way around the world, left, right, and centre, when, you know, they've got their own education to be sorting out. So, you know, there's going to be a bit of that. I don't know if he'll go anywhere. I think he'll stay with F1 because he's a massive F1 fan. But I think he will have the environmental work there as well. But I think he'll be incorporating it into the F1 and trying to make them carbon neutral.
Do you think Formula E could be a shout?
It's a possibility.
I think he'll race in some form. Yeah. I don't think we've seen the last of him racing. Like say, Formula One engines in the next, I think, is it 2026? They are going to be, the fuel is going to be carbon neutral. It's going to be, you know, he's already proved in Nigel Mansell's old Williams that is a thing that can happen now. He ran that engine. I just got a funny feeling he's going to show up in something. He might do, I don't know, German touring cars. He might do something. But Formula E, he might go do a few races in that. You just don't know, do you? Like you say, that's, you know, the next generation of electric racing type thing. So, no, so is that it with Vettel? Obviously, we've covered him. We're going to miss him.
He's not dead.
He's not
dying.
Not dying. Yeah. He's just retiring. So news. We've had a couple of items in the news. Tony, you go, because you did allude to it. Oscar Piastri. Can't remember what you actually called him off air, but the fast that is.
Where will Pasty go? Where will Pasty go?
McLaren.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Go on, James. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going McLaren.
His agent has obviously told him there's another offer on the table. But a Renault Junior driver, and he's turned him down. I mean, he's been trying to get into Formula One for years. If this is either going to blow up in his face, and he will never get an F1 drive because McLaren will keep Daniel, and obviously Renault will get someone else in, or he has been assured he's going to McLaren.
That is
anyone with that brain wouldn't make a bold move, would they?
No. What? Go on, Tom.
I've heard, and I don't know if this is true in our speculation.
Beth told you.
No.
Beth read somewhere and told me over tea. Go on.
He's is it Alpine have got first refusal? Somebody's got first refusal of him.
Yeah, because he's an Alpine young driver, so they basically hold his contract.
But he's obviously come out and said, "I'm not driving for them."
Yeah.
So, and I heard this today. I don't think he's going to drive next season in F1. I think he's going to drive the season after, and I think he could end up at McLaren.
So you think McLaren will keep Daniel Ricciardo for his contract for this year and next year?
And then there'll be a big move. Then there'll be a bit of a move around.
But that's a year.
It's a good thought because, I mean, they'd have to buy Ricciardo out. So I suppose it depends on the costs.
It does, but
because effectively they'd be paying for 3 F1 drivers.
Yeah, that's
because Alpine would are they really going to say? He's basically told, "Fuck you." Are they going to turn around and go, "Will you still drive for us, please?"
But what I don't get is then why didn't he just shut his mouth? Have a year at Alpine, he's into Formula One.
Yeah, I know. Completely agree.
Deal.
Yeah, just sit quietly.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, shut your mouth for a year. Sit there, learn Formula One, and then say, by the way, I'm leaving at end of year because I'm off to McLaren. Like I say, his agent has either whispered in his ear,
"You're good, mate.
Yeah, you're good.
You're a top driver. You're the top young driver that's not in F1 at the minute. You could get if you react this way, it could force other teams to come forward."
But see, I don't watch a lot of the junior formula. I don't know if you guys do or not, but Oscar Piastri is a name I've heard quite a lot, and he has been reserve driver for Alpine for a number of seasons now. You've got a chance to drive in Formula One. Why has he turned it down? Because they don't come along very often.
That's the thing. I agree. And there's no smoke without fire.
Yeah, so something's going on. Something's a bit weird. Like you say, I don't know if his agent's whispering to him, and it could all blow up in his face, and he could never drive in F1 after this. Because really, why would you turn it down? I don't get that. But obviously, Alonso is going to Aston Martin. So currently, Ocon has no teammate for next year. Apparently, I've heard a rumour of Tony Rawson might step up because he's a karting champion. Everyone at Leeds knows about him because he's Pokemon.
Nobody has approached me yet. Nobody's approached me
Nobody.
yet.
Is that
if they want me to drive,
is that an exclusive on the podcast? We've got a world exclusive here. No one has approached Anthony Rawson yet.
It's because he's torn up between a career in F1 or a career in like tennis, and getting there and supporting GB in Wimbledon. And
I mean, I did think of email or sending a letter to Alpine and just making
How old
them
are you?
aware.
You got a
Well,
quill?
dear Jim, please will you fix it for me?
Yeah,
From
like
Tony,
that's what I was.
I
gonna
like
do.
your badge and your t-shirts, and I like the way you look on that TV program.
Right, stop. Just stop right now. Stop.
I will wear my swimming trunks for you, Jim.
Stop now. Let's move on from this.
Yeah?
Viewers do not need to hear that.
Oh, right. Sorry.
This is an F1 podcast, so we don't need to go down that route, guys.
But we're doing really well. I mean, so far, we've mentioned Jimmy Savile, we've mentioned Michael Jackson. If we get Gary Glitter in there as well, that's the golden trio, right?
Nearly Christmas. It's nearly Christmas.
Anyway, I was going to email, send a letter, message,
All right,
text, whatever, Alpine.
That
Sorry,
took a
guys.
10 quickly, didn't it? It took a 10 really quick from a letter. Wow. I mean,
Just to make them
that
aware.
snowballed.
I'm here.
Snowballed.
I'm here.
Christmas. Gary Glitter. Yes, 3 of them.
We did it, guys.
Triple crown right there. That's our
I
triple
was
crown.
I was not in this. I have no idea why them 3 have been named. Anyway,
Okay.
so Ricardo then, will he move to somewhere next season, or will he stick? Because he's getting a lot of stick.
He's adamant he ain't moving, isn't he? He's adamant he's got a contract. James just alluded to a very good point. McLaren haven't got the money to splash around paying him out of his contract, buying him.
And still paying Norris. And
Yeah.
Don't know.
yeah, I never thought of it like that until tonight. And there's been a couple of times in previous episodes where I've actually said, I think he's going to go. I think he's done. His heart's not in it anymore. But yeah, looking at it from like a business point of view, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money to buy him out in it. In the budget cap era.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
But that scenario with Alonso and the first half of the season with Alonso and Ocon, that sets up a really nice, tasty second half of the season. Alonso versus Ocon.
I don't think there'll be verses because they're in different teams now. So I think there's some kind of Ocon's always been an aggressive driver, and I don't think he's scared of anybody. Like, he pushed Max Verstappen over, didn't he, the other year when they had their little Barney when they were getting weird and stuff, and they were both aggressive. And I think Alonso going to Aston Martin takes that battle away, because I don't think they'll be on. At the minute, they're in the same car, so they're always kind of on the same bit of tarmac. I think that'll go. And let's be honest, I don't think Lance Stroll will be any challenge for Alonso.
I think it's going to be the opposite. I think it's going to be like, basically the gloves are off, and it's going to be like a no holds barred, like team management, all that jazz. It's going to be like car for car.
Are you basing this pretty much on the last race where?
Yeah, I think it's now going to go into
like awkward. He actually screwed it up for them both.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like, you're telling me to stick behind Ocon? No way. Like, fuck you.
But they've been different teams, so we'll have to.
No, the second half of the season.
Oh, the second half of the season.
This
right,
season.
Sorry.
This
season.
I think they're going to.
Oh, yeah, there's going to be fireworks. There's going to be
scrap.
Yeah, second half of the season is going to be fireworks between them two, definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're obviously at the mid-season. There's 9 races to go. So the current driver standings, just to reiterate that, is Max 258 points, Leclerc 178. Bit of a big gap now. We're 9 to go. Go on.
So I just saw this the other day. I think it's in the last 9 races, if I remember rightly, Max has actually scored more points than the Ferrari team combined.
Really?
Yeah, he's done something like 233 points, and they've done 230 between Leclerc and Sainz together.
Yeah.
What a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Perez 173. I mean, considering that we've said the last few races, Perez hasn't had a very good few races. 5 points behind Leclerc. 5 points.
I think Sainz will finish in front of Leclerc.
Well, Russell's
Well-
currently 4th. I mean, Tony loves George Russell. So
You mean Woody from Toy Story?
Woody?
Looks like Woody from Toy Story.
Does he?
I've seen that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I'll have to have a look at that.
It was
I'll
shared
never
on
watch
social
the same
media.
again.
Oh, was it? I'll have to have a look.
It looked exactly like Woody. Finally.
Probably
somebody's
got as
found
much
it.
personality as Woody as well of Toy Story.
He has.
According to you.
I'm not
So
gonna,
yeah,
I'm not gonna buy it.
Russell on 158 and Sainz on 156. So you think Sainz will finish above Leclerc?
Yeah, I think that's my serious prediction for the second half.
I mean-
I think it's gonna finish above him.
There is only 22 points in it, which you don't realise it's that close to it. And again, Sainz has had some shitty races, really.
Very shitty.
22 points behind Leclerc.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
interesting. So, next race, finally back this weekend, August 28th, 3 p.m. start. It's the Belgium Grand Prix at Spa. We all hope to God it's better than last year's race that was 1 lap and then it was rained off.
Oh, yeah.
It lasted about, I think, telly hours, it was about 7 hours. Race minutes, it was over in about 5. They did 1 lap. Hopefully they'll get 44 laps this year. It's a 7-kilometre track, so that's 4.3 miles, one of the longest on the calendar, with 19 corners. However, in the news this week, it's come out that we might be seeing the back of Spa.
Oh.
And it all comes down again. Tony's shaking his head. It all comes down again to money.
Money.
because Spa is an old track and it's very prestigious.
You'll love
Like
that
I
word.
said-
And do you know what? I'm going to play Tony Rawson bingo on this podcast because when it comes to
Prestigious.
describing tracks, you always throw out prestigious. You love that word.
And it's like, is it Martin Brundle?
You shouldn't need to question that, mate.
I'm going to say.
I'm
The
Ron
purchase.
Burgundy.
The purchase of the tyre. Why does he keep saying the purchase of the tyre? That pisses me off
We've got
because
him.
he constantly says, "Oh, it's the purchase of the tyre," and he knows he's saying it. If you listen,
I've never
carefully,
noticed.
I've
he
never
knows
noticed
he's
it.
saying it.
When does it? What do you mean the purchase of the tyre? When did he say that?
Like when they're talking about like, oh, they're going to change to softs because the purchase is different compared to the hard tyre.
I mean, like,
What's
to be
really
honest,
annoying, now that you've mentioned it, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, I
to
know.
us.
If he
It's
says
gonna
that on
annoy the
Sunday,
piss out of us.
Honest.
if he says that on
Watch it.
Sunday, you're getting a barrage of texts because I've never noticed him say that before.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
really, I
man.
haven't.
Yeah, he says it. He said it at least once every race. Every race.
Does
And
he
he
say
For a
said
it
it
minute
in
in
there,
his-
I thought you were just going to say he said it at least once. I was going to go, really?
He says it once every race, and he knows he says it, and he knows it's only him in the whole world that says it in this context, and it just makes me want to vomit every time he says it, like projectile, like
Well, it's like you
Aye.
with
Right,
tracks
right,
and
right.
prestigious. Monaco, prestigious.
yeah.
Miami,
Anyway, yeah.
prestigious.
Going
Belgium,
back to the point,
prestigious.
Spa, it's set in the woods, isn't it? And it's set in like
It goes through some woods. I wouldn't say
in a
it's
forest.
the woods. Yeah. I mean,
So, I mean, supposedly you can't get that many fans around the track, and it's hard to get to, and it hasn't got that many facilities, like large areas of parking and whatnot.
I would say it's not hard to get to. It's probably one of the easiest abroad tracks to get to because it's literally especially for us in Hull. It's
I was going to say for us,
yeah, to Belgium.
Yeah, but when you're a millionaire Yank, living in their penthouse in Miami, it's easier just to buy the track and make it.
Is that penthouse a prestigious penthouse?
No, it's quite the opposite.
And is his
it's
private jet a prestigious private jet?
Again, it's just a run-of-the-mill track and stand that they've built purposefully.
If we get rid of Spa, I'm worried about Formula One going forward because are we then going to get rid of Silverstone, Monza? You know what I mean?
I said it at the beginning when we very first started this podcast. Go back, viewers. Go back. 5 years we'll be on Rainbow Road around Antarctica, and fucking Toad and Yoshi, they'll all be there dressed up, and we'll be throwing coconuts out of the fucking cars to slow people down. That's where it's going to end up.
There's already a race series
on Rainbow Road, one of the most prestigious tracks known
in the calendar.
Mario Kart, yeah. It is a very prestigious track on Mario Kart. You've already got a race series like that. It's called Formula E. They have the boost zones and they
I always watch it and just think, it's like Mario Kart. That makes sense.
But so someone showed me a video today. I've been on a training course in Leeds, and he was talking about Formula One. So I did, drop the hint that I do a podcast. And he showed me a video of a Formula E crash. I think it was Malaysia a couple of weeks ago. Don't know if you guys have seen it. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So basically, apparently in Formula E, the tyres are all eco tyres, so they're crap in the wet. And there's a corner, literally, I swear to God, it's the slowest crash of the corner. One car goes in, and then 6 cars go in, and it's like they're parking up at Skelton's or Coupland's or the shop. It's absolutely hilarious. If I can find it tonight, I'll forward you on. Put it on the socials. That race series is just an absolute joke. So we've already got.
How do the speed zones work? This is what I don't get. Because
let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it.
Let us know in the comments. How do the speed zones work? Is there some electromagnetic field that's under the track at that certain bit, or is it just CGI'd on there so it makes it look like they're going quicker?
It's CGI. There'll be a certain corner where they've got to take a slightly different turning route.
Slightly, they go like really super wide and slow.
Right,
pretty much they're avoiding the apex and going to the outside of the corner. So you've got to pretty much relinquish a second or two, making this wide turn.
Yeah.
To get 3 or 4 seconds of an engine boost.
It's weird.
Which in a way is like a DRS zone.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense. It's like Joe Bloggs has got 1% charge, and he's got on the third bend. Oh my God, he's in the speed zone, and he's picked up an extra 2 seconds, but it's used his battery. What's he gonna do? Oh, and then somebody else says, they've lost charge. What are they gonna do? They're dropping back. It's just like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, charge going off on one. Yeah,
let's be honest. If we had this fan boost in Formula One, the Orange Army would just vote for Max Verstappen every week, wouldn't they?
God, the fan boost, I forgot.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Formula E. So apparently Belgium.
Don't recommend Formula E.
No,
not yet.
Belgium is on the ropes. This might be the last year. I mean, I love Eau Rouge. It's always a good race, apart from last year. So let's talk about predictions. So the predictions currently stand at, I've got 25 points. James has got 25 points. The non-cheaters of the group are on 25 points, followed by the one cheater who's on 24 points. So we're halfway through, boys, and it's close. The shoey could be any of us in 9 races' time. Any of us.
It'd make my year if it was you doing it, Mark. I've got
That's
to
not
be
very
honest.
nice, is it? That's not very
Yeah,
nice.
that would be one of my highlights.
But if you get it, mate.
Getting married, stag do, Mark does a shoeing. That'd be like.
If you do it, I'm going to give you my trainer after tennis and you're drinking straight after a match.
Oh, God.
So, would you like to go for predictions? I've got mine written down. Shall I go first?
Can do.
So, I have for Belgium winning the race, Max Verstappen. Second, Charles Leclerc. Third, I've changed my mind 4 times on this. I'm going Sergio Perez.
Ooh.
I don't think we'll have a Merc anywhere near the front. It's a speed track. It's a low downforce track. Just can't see Merc doing well.
I thought you was going to say Norris then.
I mean,
So he's pretty good there.
He's
I
pretty
was going
good
to
there.
ask you guys that. Do you think there's going to be some surprise podiums in the second half of the season?
Well,
There will be, but I need to get this race out of the way before I start.
well, there's been a rule change.
I need to see what changes have been made.
There's been a rule change with the porpoising.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if that's going to affect Red Bull and Ferrari as much as people are thinking it will, i.e. Toto Wolff and Mercedes think that it will bring them back into the game. I don't think it will. I don't. But like I'm exactly like James. I've just absolute gone standard here. Let's see if them rule changes change it, and then we'll mix it up. So next, I'm going to go to let's go to James as he's level on points with me. James, what is your top 3?
So I've gone Max for the win. I've got Hamilton for second.
Ooh.
And I've gone Russell for third.
Ooh.
I think there's another Mercedes double podium in the bag here.
Tony, what's best predictions?
Best predicted. Max Ham Perez.
Ooh.
Now I have written down Max.
I don't agree with him.
Max Russell Ham. However,
Is that your crazy predictions?
what did you go for, James? Oh, you went for Russell, didn't you?
Max Hamilton Russell, yeah.
So are you going for Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez with Beth, or are you going on your own prediction
I'm gonna go
with Beth? Because she's got you.
with my future wife, my darling, my one and only.
And if you get
Beth.
so basically, if she's wrong, you can blame her.
So to win the race will be Beth, and second, I think it's going to be Max Hamilton Perez. I have heard on the grapevine that Leclerc is getting a penalty because he's changing something with his car.
Interesting. It's a bit of potluck after the summer break, isn't it? Because normally,
Well, you say this, Mark. Bonotto called me. He said, "Tone, I'm not going to do an Italian accent." He went, "Tone, things are getting a bit fucking shit over here, mate. Just to let you know, keep my number in your phone. I might need you for some strategy calls. I know you're interested in Alpine, but just hold me. Just keep me in your mind." So obviously we had a conversation, and then he was like, yeah, Leclerc's going to just completely fuck it for this first race, and then it's all the pressure's off, and then off we go. And I was like, so that sounds good to me, mate. Well done. And he was like, thank you for your approval. I'll speak to you soon.
listeners, you've just missed the delight on the video of Tony actually pretending to hold a phone with his hand next to his mouth whilst doing his Bonotto is speaking to him bullshit story. I was going to say it's been an excellent podcast, but we've kind of ended on that sour note of Tony being an absolute dick. So, so
I can't wait for it to come out. Leclerc's took a penalty because I'll be straight away messaging Mark just like,
well, I mean,
oh dear.
If that is the case, well played, sir. Well played. But who knows? Spa, you can start near the back and still win it. It's one of them tracks. So let's see. Right, boys. Well, so I'd like to go on quickly.
Latifi to get a point or points in the second half of the season. You heard it here first.
I mean,
go on, man. You can
whatever
do it.
you're smoking or drinking, I
Go
think
on,
you
Jack.
should share it. And that's
You're
not
the
even
man.
on Saturday.
King.
So, thanks to Andy, Cookie Cast. Please, 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 if you do listen to us, pass it on to your friends. Tell Formula One fans. We want to spread the word. We want to show Tony up for being the big fraud that he is of Formula One. You know more than him. F knows more than him and she doesn't even watch the sport. It's fine. But please, 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 like, subscribe, watch us, listen to us. You know, we really appreciate people that do. Next week's might be a bit quieter because, as Tony said, it's his stag do on Saturday. So we all might be a bit croaky and a bit quiet.
And there'll be stories to tell.
No, there'll be no stories on here. So, again, big up Sebastian Vettel. We love you. We miss you. You're not dead. But
Or dying.
or dying. But until next week, boys. See you later.
See you later, guys.
So,
So there you go. What do you think to that? Another episode of Straight to the Apex in the bag. Looking forward to races coming along and more fantastic podcast from these guys. Before you go, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Drop any reviews you want to drop. And if you're feeling like you want to get in on the old internet action, jump over to thecookiecast.com. There you can find social media links and an email button. You can drop these guys a little message. Let them know how much you love their podcast. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.